Good morning and welcome to another edition of Free Association Radio, presenting 15 Minutes of Flame. Hi, how's it going out there? Robert Phoenix in the broadcast booth from Austin, Texas. I always like saying Austin. Ah, yes. Winter has descended upon us now. The skies shall be gray. And the temperatures will drop. But things are heating up in other parts of the world, aren't they? Oh my gosh. We got the dog and pony show. A couple old white guys in the crosshairs. We got Roy Moore. And he's being dragged through the mud. Man, this, okay. Where do I start with this? I've been talking about this for a couple days now, and again, I'm not a Bible-thumping, born-again Christian. I don't denounce them or denigrate them. I think it's a really, I believe that Christianity is important in this world. Okay, I do believe it. I believe it's important, and I have my own relationship to that faith in a very personal kind of way. I've never been a church person. I kind of detest them, to be honest with you. I think tax exemption should be taken away from churches and temples and mosques. I think that should go by the wayside. And these mega church preachers who get $5 million contracts for $6 million contracts for being at a mega church for 6 years because they're a rock star preacher. It's just complete and utter bullshit. It flies in the face of what the whole thing is about. So I say, take away the tax exemption status for all religions. Make it equal across the board. Oh. Wouldn't that be interesting? Right? That all of a sudden, these religious organizations would have to deal with taxes and reporting income. And that'd be across the board, right? That would be Scientology to Chabad Lubavitcher. Get them on the record. I think it'd be great. I think it'd be totally great. Absolutely. And you can even do a scale system. Just like congregations who have officially 50 people or less, they paid less taxes. And the mega churches would pay more, but they'd all have to report. I don't have any problem with that. You say, well, what about the separation of church and state? Well, as long as the church or a church is not running our government, then I think we have it. Although some could say that, well, we've had an Islamic government for the prior 8 years with Trump, and now Trump has brought in his cavalcade of Christian ministries, and a lot of them being Jesuits. So is there really a separation of church and state? I'm not sure. Depends on what you call church. And certainly state. So anyway, that would be my first thing. First order of business. If I were king for a day. But getting back to Roy Moore, I think it's important for this guy to be in the race. Because as I said yesterday, he's disruptive, and we live in a time of disruption. And it's here. You cannot not deal with it. Whether it's another shitty little false flag that happened in California yesterday. By the way, I'm going to talk about that. I'll get to that maybe towards the end. Or whether it's the constant chaos. Like you can't even be in an election anymore. I mean, the whole system is just going to hell in a handbasket because all somebody has to do is just raise their hand and say, he groped me. He whispered in my ear. He whispered in my ear and he said, I wish I could put my tongue in your ear. I mean, look, I'm not blaming victims. Are there things that have gone down that are absolutely horrendous? Of course. It goes without saying. All you got to do is read Transformation of America by Kathy O'Brien. That's all you got to do. I mean, there's the Bryce Taylor stuff if you want to get into that as well. And these are all people. I'll tell you, if you want to go down a rabbit hole, I'll give you a name to look up. You ready? Go look up Svali. Go look up Svali. Svali was on the internet probably about 10 years ago. And Svali lived in Escondido, California, where I lived briefly for about 2 years after my son was born. And she talks about being a quote-unquote Illuminati satanic insider. And it's very graphic. Her accounts of what goes on is very graphic. And so she's been kind of buried a little bit in terms of the hierarchy of these whistleblowers that talk about the dark and the depraved and all the things that we all know about, which make, some of this other stuff just look like, Sunday school, really. Same with the church metaphor there. Anyway, you want to go down a rabbit hole, look up Svali, Svalli. And you'll get more evidence. Pretty graphic evidence too, by the way. So here we have Gloria Allred. Oh my God. When are these people just going to go away? When are they just going to go away? And then she's got her daughter waiting in the wings. It's like Gloria Allred 2. Lisa Bloom, although she screwed up in a big way, right? Because she was working on the Weinstein side, trying to denigrate the women who were coming out against Weinstein. And of course, she had been a vocal supporter of all these poor women who had gone through so much suffering. And like Kathy Griffin Kathy Griffin now can't even be in the same zip code. You don't hear a lot from Lisa Bloom. Oh, she'll be back. They always come back. They skulk away for a little while. They get out of the limelight. They'll work on a few minor cases. They'll take some money from special interest groups, pay their rent, keep the lights on, allow them to keep their wardrobe up to date, get their hair coiffed, go to the gym. They have there's no danger of these people ever entering into a realm of abject suffering and poverty because of something gone wrong with their relationship to the public in the Vox Populi. They've always got some kind of a pipeline that keeps them going. But she'll be back. Give her about 6 months to a year. After the Weinstein stuff sort of settles down, she'll find another crying, willing victim that she can prop up and come to their rescue with. Give me a break. By the way, Mark Garagos, an interesting lawyer who had represented people like Michael Jackson and Scott Peterson. Mark Garagos said 14 days ago, I guarantee Colin Kaepernick will be on an NFL team within 10 days. Clock's ticking. Not on a team. And that's the crazy thing, right? He guaranteed it. It's like an ironclad guarantee. 10 days. He's not on a team. Not on a team. Oh, I just got a text from Nunya Biz about ice cream, cashew milk ice cream. I can't eat cashews. It's a legume. Cashews are a legume, and I have deported all the legumes. I've deported them. I've sent them back to legume land. Legumes are banned in my kingdom. That's right. I have built a psychological wall against all legumes. I know, it's harsh. It's harsh, but sometimes we just have to put our foot down and be the iron dictator of our diet and our nutritional needs. And it's a shame. I liked the cashew. It was a friendly nut. A tasty nut. Slightly sweet. One of those nuts where I have to have another. And another. And another. And they weren't a hard nut. They're sort of soft, so chewing them, No more cashews, I'm sorry. The cashew is in my rearview mirror. That's right. Thank you, though. Thank you. Nunya. Hey, what's going on in that Virginia area, the West Virginia area, that fire. I hope it got put out of control, or I hope it got put out since it was out of control. We sort of followed that for a few days and lost the thread. Anyway, let's get back to this Roy Moore thing. Gloria Allred, there she is. My God. And then we have all these witnesses that are coming forward, and they're just pathetic. Where were they? Where were they 20 years ago? 15 years ago? Where were these women? They weren't there because, guess what? It wasn't financially expedient for them to come forward. You know, is this guy completely clean? That's doubtful. Nobody's completely clean. You show me somebody's completely clean, and I'll show you somebody that's been living in a monastery. And even in a monastery, there's some crazy stuff that goes on in monasteries. You know that, right? All that sublimation. Got to come out somewhere. Yeah. I used to really be into Rasputin. And so I read his daughter. He had a daughter, and his daughter wrote a book about it. And then, of course, there were countless biographies. So I was interested in the life. How did Rasputin become Rasputin? So he always had kind of this religious fixation. And he when he was young, he did this. I wouldn't say it was popular, but if you were really serious about religion and faith, you had to do a pilgrimage, and you had to go to the Holy Land. And how you did it is you had to have a cross tied to your back, and you had to walk. Right? So Rasputin did this. This is how zealous he was. He did this. So he walked, essentially towards Jerusalem, right? That was the walk. I don't know if he ever made it all the way, but one of the places he stopped at was a monastery for rest and spiritual succor. Nobody uses the word succor anymore, do they? Succor. We need to bring back succor as a word. I think it's undervalued. Anyway, he went there for spiritual succor. And when he got there, he found out that these monks were batshit crazy, alcoholic, flaming lovers, right? He basically stepped into a Bacchanalian setup where the monks were getting drunk all the time and screwing each other. So this had a kind of an impact on young Rasputin. Just a little. Who knows what happened there, right? Who knows what happened there? Anyway, he went off to eventually change the world in his own way. And I don't know, I'm not sure what I'm talking about, Rasputin. But I think he's interesting. So anyway, we've got this thing happening now. It's clear, right? Nobody's clean. Nobody is clean. It was the monk thing. That's how I got there. Nobody's clean. There's dirt on everybody. And there be minuscule dirt. And even if it's minuscule dirt, it can be, kind of scooped up and put under a microscope and oh, look at this. That's why I could never run for public office. I got way too much dirt. I'd have to tell people everything. It'd be totally transparent, and that would take probably about an afternoon. And in 1992, it would just go on and on. And thank you very much for your time. And I'm sorry. Yeah, we went past last call, so you're going to have to wait till tomorrow to have one final drink since I finish this. It'd be like a filibuster. It'd be like a Rand Paul filibuster. Anyway, there's nobody's clean, so maybe he's got a little bit of dirt. Maybe he has, maybe he did date younger women. Again, Jerry Seinfeld dated 17-year-old Shoshana Lowenstein. Nobody said anything about that. And look, and let's be clear, right? Let's be clear. We're talking about the background noise is pedophilia. And this is what happens. Like when there's something going on, when there's something happening, there's a projection, right? There's a projection taking place. Let's project that thing that's going on in the background and push it out onto somebody so that Number one, they can become a scapegoat. And number two, we can participate in this, virtue signal bloodletting. Because, oh, isn't this terrible? Look at what he did with these young women, whether he did it or not. But the background noise is what the hell is going on with people like Joe Biden, creepy Uncle Joe, and all the other stuff that's been going on for years and years and years and years with children. And people in power, and that's going to be Hollywood, that's going to be New York, that's going to be Chicago, that's going to be Washington, D.C., San Francisco. These are the power centers, and there is dark stuff going on there. So they're going to project it. And it's a timely projection because this guy's trying to run for office. He's trying to get into the U.S. Senate. And everybody, could you imagine being in Roy Moore's skin right now? That would be an interesting trip, right? I mean, here's a guy, clearly he's religious. Clearly he's going to lean on the Bible. I'll bet you this guy's reading Job every night, right? He's got his Job on. Because that's what he's going through. And he's going through a very, very personal, deeply personal, religious experience of persecution. This is his crucifixion, right? It's kind of a Job meets Jesus moment. This is his crucifixion. This is his spiritual test in this lifetime. Whether or not he actually makes it to Washington, D.C., whatever happens to this guy, he can personalize this on a very deep level. Because this is the path. This is his path. I used to hang out with this guy who is a brilliant esotericist. He was my first spiritual teacher. I've talked about him before. His name was Dwayne. He was an older guy, and I think I was in my 20s, and I was crazy. I was totally unhinged, crazy, wild. And he would sit down and we would talk, spirituality. And one of the things he said to me was really interesting, and I never really forgot it. It says each one is given according to their own beliefs. Think about that for a moment. Each one is given according to their own beliefs. So if you have a belief about something, guess what? There it is. Snap, crackle, pop. So again, perhaps this is in Roy Moore's wheelhouse in his belief system, that he needs to go through this or has to go through this. But I'm telling you right now, it is deeply personal. And this guy is going through a big religious test for him. Like, this is it. Okay, Roy, here you go. This is your faith basket. Carry it. Hold it. And I think it's fascinating to watch because everybody's withdrawing support. The GOP is withdrawing support. All these, the left is at him. The right is at him. All these jackals are around him. And yet the guy still has a 6-point lead over this person that he's going up against whom I know nothing about. And they're just sitting back. Think about their campaign. They don't have to do anything at this point, right? I mean, if that person has to actually go out and kind of push on Roy Moore and denigrate his character, that's not going to look great for that person. That's like piling on, right? All you got to do is sit back and play center field. That's the easiest campaign in history. But I don't think that person should rest on their laurels. What would happen? What's going to happen if somehow this guy actually wins? Because he's not going anywhere. He is not withdrawing. In spite of all these Republicans hammering him, hounding him, in spite of the fact that the RNC, right, is withdrawing all their support, he's not going away. So what happens if he wins? Are they going to continue to go after him? Are they going to do a recount on the vote? Is this going to be a Trump mini 2.0? Because if it is, the democratic process is done. It's over. It's probably been over for decades already. So, let's be clear about it. But this is what this guy's going to go through. And if we see that, then it's clear that there is an agenda going on. Speaking of agendas, I'm going to get to the gun thing. It's happening. It's big. We're going to get false flags every freaking week now until people in Congress and Senate write their legislation and they start to take the guns away. And when that happens, I'm going to tell you right now, that's going to be the start of the Civil War. It will not be race. It will not be the transgender, transhuman wars. It's going to be about people having their guns taken away, and they won't let it happen. So it's the provocation. It's the poking the dog with the stick. It's the poking the dog with the stick, poking the dog with the stick. And at some point, the dog snaps. And they're kind of waiting for that too, right? Based on all their game theory and all their modeling. Let's see, we just can't wait until they really snap and they come after us. Because then we'll put the hammer on them. Sorry, I just had an Alex Jones moment. Because that's what they're wanting to do, right? That's what they're wanting to do. And whoever fires the first shot loses. And that's generally the commonly held perception around all of this. So this Roy Moore thing is really interesting. Very, very interesting. And we get to see it all unfold before our very eyes. Bear witness to it. I hope he wins. I hope he wins because I want to see what happens next. That's what I want to see. I want to see the next level of them trying to derail Roy Moore. Because what they want to do, see, they don't want to give Roy Moore any credence at all. None. None. The name Roy Moore is really interesting too, by the way. Roy is king, and Moore is short for Moorish. And the Moorish people were the black people, right? That's, the dark ones. That's what Moorish, that's what it means, the dark ones. So we have the Dark King. Isn't that interesting? This is the Dark King. And he couldn't be more white, right? And this is kind of oxymoronic, but it's interesting just based on the name. Anyway, but I want to see what happens. They don't want Roy Moore to get a foothold. They don't want anybody resembling Roy Moore to get a foothold, because I'm telling you right now, the heat is on, man. The heat is on. They want to take away guns. They want to take away guns, and guess what else they want to do? They just want to completely denigrate Christians, wipe them out, and then they want to, of course, that Whitey's in the crosshairs too. By the way, there's a higher rate of anti-white hate crime than it's gone up precipitously over the last 2 years. There's an agenda afoot here. If you can't see it, you can't sense it, you can't smell it, then your five senses are completely shut down. You're just shut down. And you have to get through. You have to get through some stuff inside yourself in order to look at it. Oh, gee, if I admit that, does that mean that I'm one of these white racists? What do I do? Excuse me, I think something's going on here. I think something's happening because I'm seeing a lot of things in the media. Shut up! Go back in the corner. You're too privileged to have an opinion. You got to get through some stuff inside. Everybody's got to get through their stuff. Everybody has to break through that place inside of themselves, which is the no-fly zone. You got to get through that. You got to get through that because that is an insert of social control. It's the politically correct insert, and you've got to blow it up. You have to challenge your assumptions. And even when you get on the other side of that, you can't be smug about it and say, oh, well, I knew all along. You've even got to challenge that assumption too. Right? Because maybe there are inequities in society, and there are. But perhaps those inequities are not color-bound or race-based. Perhaps they're economically based. And perhaps there's a program in place that has been engaged in separating people and creating a divide and conquer strategy for the last 50 years. And then you got to go to that. And say, well, then what do we do with that? Well, we got to work together. We got to work together. And I've talked about this before. The one impediment to working together is special interests. Because if these groups who are in opposition or in some form of soft conflict with one another are being compensated by special interest, they have no desire to work with anybody because they're getting their special interest needs met. If you cut that pipeline off, then all of a sudden they're sitting around going, where's our money coming from? Where are disbursements coming from? Geez, we're out in the cold here. Who else is out in the cold here? Anybody else? You want to join forces? That's what it takes. That is what it takes. Because once it happens, everybody's naked. Everybody's the same. And then you don't have some special interest group propping you up. And you look around and say, well, I need to feed my kids. I need some food. Whatever it is. Who else has the same issues? Who else is screwing us? And that's the problem, because some people aren't getting screwed. Some people are being nicely compensated for. If you come in one of these refugee programs, have you seen what you get? It's pretty significant. Anyway, I'm not a xenophobe. I'm really a universalist. to be honest with you. That's my take on that. Anyway, so I want to see what happens. They don't want another Roy Moore coming in. They don't want 50 Roy Moores coming in. You know why? Because that is a threat. That is a threat to the agenda and the hegemony. And the agenda is get rid of Christianity and get rid of people that are going to be rebellious to systems of control. And get rid of the weapons that give them some slight edge in theoretically combating that. That's it. And then once that's out of the way, then what do you have? You've got a fascistic takeover of the government. And nobody can defend themselves against it. Now, theoretically, if we got to a conflict where people had to fight against, whether it's the army or the National Guard, or whether it's Chinese troops or Albanians or whoever is hanging out here, Russians posing as, American, whatever they are, right? And that happens. There are foreign troops in this country, and they are sleeper celled, and they speak perfect English, and then they can drop into whatever other language they know or speak of. They're here, by the way. No, we can do a whole show on that. But what would happen in a conflict? Would the American people stand a chance? Obviously, they must. They must be able to stand a chance, because with their game theory and all their computer modeling, they're looking at, well, we should probably take these guns away. We should probably take these guns away, because guess what? If we take the guns away, you got a better chance of running the show here. At least that's what the computer model says. If the computer model said you don't need to worry about the guns, they just go right ahead and they run their program. So to some degree, the answer to that would be yes. Is it a 3% chance, a 5% chance, a 10%? I don't know. I don't have the computer modeling. But somebody does, I guarantee you. Anyway, I want to see what happens. I want to see what happens next. I want to see him get elected. I want to see people blow their stack, just like they did after Trump was elected. Whether you like Trump or not, I was just happy. I was happy to watch people just lose their shit. I'm going to Canada! Nobody went to Canada. Well, I thought about it, and I thought, my contribution to society would be better off here in this country, fighting the good fight. I woke up and I found courage in my heart. Oh, come on. It's a bunch of poo-poo. You were never going to go to Canada anyway. Nobody does what they say they're going to do. Nobody. They say it, goes down the memory hole, and they've got an HBO special next. All right, let's talk about Jeff Sessions. Let's talk about this little weasel of a man. I'm going to play you the 5-minute. If you haven't heard it, I'm going to play it for you right now. It is the 5-minute exchange between Jeff Sessions at the hearing yesterday and Jim Jordan. Okay, I want you to listen to this. I want you to listen to this man and try to wrap your head around what's going on here. This is all about Sessions, Russiagate, all the things, the special counsel, everything that's floated up to the top of the surface like sewage waste in the District of Columbia. Here we go.
I paid Christopher Steele.
Where am I?
Right here.
Yeah.
The FBI paid Christopher Steele, the author of the dossier.
Those are matters you'll have to direct to the, I think maybe the special counsel.
Why is that? I'm just asking if someone.
Well, I'm not able to reveal internal investigatory matters here that's under the investigation of anybody, but particularly I think
this happened in the summer of 2016. We know the Clinton campaign, the Democrat National Committee, paid through a law firm, Fusion GPS, to produce the dossier. We know the author was Christopher Steele. It's been reported that he was on the payroll of the FBI. I'm just wanting to know if, in fact, that is the case.
I'm not able to provide an answer to you.
Did the FBI present the dossier to the FISA court?
I'm not able to answer that.
Do you know if the FBI did the established process protocol in evaluating claims made in the dossier?
I'm not able to answer that.
On January 6th, then FBI Director James Comey briefed President-elect Trump up in New York about the dossier. Shortly thereafter, the fact that that meeting took place and the subject of the meeting was the dossier was leaked to CNN. Do you know who leaked that information?
I do not.
Are you investigating who leaked that information?
That would be a matter within the investigatory powers of the special counsel.
You said you got a number of investigations going on, Mr. Attorney General, regarding leaks. Is that likely one of those that you're investigating?
I'm not able to reveal the existence of investigations or not.
Mr. Attorney General, I appreciate your service in the Senate. I appreciate your service at the Justice Department. Consider you a friend. And frankly, I appreciate yesterday's letter saying you were considering appointing a special counsel that you sent to us. But my concern is we sent you a letter 3.5 months ago asking for a second special counsel. And if you're now just considering it, what's it going to take to get a special counsel? We know that former FBI Director James Comey misled the American people in the summer of 2016 when he called the Clinton investigation a matter. It's obviously an investigation. We know FBI Director Comey was drafting an exoneration letter before the investigation was complete. We know Loretta Lynch, 1 day before the Benghazi report came out, 5 days before Secretary Clinton was scheduled to be interviewed by the FBI, met with former President Bill Clinton on a tarmac in Phoenix. We know after that meeting, when she was corresponding with public relations people at the Justice Department, she was using the name Elizabeth Carlisle. You know, as I've said before, it seems to me if you're just talking golf and grandkids, you can probably use your real name. We know that Mr. Comey publicized the investigation, and we know he made the final decision on whether to prosecute or not. And then when he gets fired, he leaks a government document through a friend to the New York Times, and what was his goal? To create momentum for a special counsel, and of course it can't just be any special counsel, it's got to be Bob Mueller, his best friend, his predecessor, his mentor. The same Bob Mueller who was involved, we've now learned, in this whole investigation with the informant regarding Russian businesses wanting to do business in the Iranian business here in the United States regarding the Uranium One deal. So I guess my question, what's it going to take, if all that, not to mention the dossier information, what's it going to take to actually get a special counsel?
It would take a factual basis that meets the standards of the appointment of a special counsel.
Is that analysis going on right now?
Well, it's in the manual of the Department of Justice about what's required. We've only had 2. The first one was the Waco, Janet Reno, Senator Danforth, who took over that investigation as special counsel, and Mr. Mueller. Each of those are pretty special factual situations.
Let me ask it this way.
And we will use the proper standards, and that's what only thing I can tell you, Mr. Jordan.
Well, I appreciate
you can have your idea, but sometimes we have to study what the facts are and to evaluate whether it meets the standard
well said. So let me ask you this. If in fact,
a special counsel.
Well, we know one fact. We know the Clinton campaign, the Democrat National Committee paid for, through the law firm, paid for the dossier. We know that happened. And it sure looks like the FBI was paying the author of that document, and it sure looks like a major political party was working with the federal government to then turn an opposition research document, the equivalent of some National Enquirer story, into an intelligence document, take that to the FISA court so that they could then get a warrant to spy on Americans associated with President Trump's campaign. That's what it looks like. And I'm asking you, doesn't that warrant, in addition to all the things we know about James Comey in 2016, doesn't that warrant naming a second special counsel, as 20 members of this committee wrote you 3.5 months ago asking you to do?
Well, Mr. Comey is no longer the director of the FBI.
Thank goodness.
We have an excellent man of integrity and ability in Chris Wray, and I think he's going to do an outstanding job, and I'm very happy
he's
about that.
He's not here today, Attorney General.
And I would say,
you are, and I'm asking for a special counsel.
And I would say looks like is not enough basis to appoint a special counsel.
Mr. Attorney General.
There you go. If you find this clip, it's on YouTube, and it's a Fox News clip. You should find it, because one of the things that you don't see is you don't see that Jeff Sessions at the beginning of the questioning is smiling. He's acting cute. And I'm this cute little old Jeff Sessions. I'm a cute little old Southern man. No, aren't I adorable? That's what he comes in with. And then this guy, Jim Jordan, who's great. I don't know who he is. First time I've ever heard of him. I don't follow Washington like it's the NFL. I don't play fantasy politics. If they did, I think I'd be pretty good at it. By the way, my fantasy football team's doing pretty well. 8-2, 7-3. It's not bad. Not bad. Staying alive. Anyway, so this guy Jim Jordan nails him to the wall. He nails him to the wall. He lays it all out. By the way, I just looked briefly at Jim Jordan. He's from Ohio, and he's an Aquarius. He is an Aquarian. Throwing a little Aquarian radicalese into the Sessions session. And Jeff Sessions is what? He is a Capricorn. Where's Saturn going into? Capricorn. What degree is Jeff Sessions Capricorn? 2 degrees. That means he's going to have Saturn on his sun. What is that? A time for reckoning. A time for reckoning. Jeff Sessions, you will atone. Lord Saturn commands you to atone. Or keep lying. Anyway, that's coming. That'll be a very interesting time for Jeff Sessions. I'll tell you how desperate people are in this Roy Moore thing, because they're connected to Jeff Sessions. He's coming in to fill in Jeff Sessions' slot. Mitch McConnell, the fish man. Does he look like a fish man? I think Mitch McConnell is one of those early hybrids. He's a chimera. I think he's like a cross between a human and a flounder. Look at his face. He's got the fish face. Anyway, he just came out like in the last hour that people from Alabama should write in Jeff Sessions' name to replace or to win on the ticket. How stupid is that? That's how desperate they are. Mitch McConnell is asking people, hey, let me just turn this down a little bit. I don't want to get too hot on you. Hey, oops, that's not what I want. That's what I want right there. Hey, yeah, you like that? Is that better? Or do you like the bright side? The bright side? I can just turn it up just a little bit, get a little more bright. Right there? How about that? Hey, write in Jeff Sessions. Oh, come on. You like the guy. He was a good senator. You can vote with your conscience at that point. After what Sessions just did yesterday, and not just to Jordan, but to all these other people, that's insulting. I mean, if I were an Alabamian, I would be insulted that this guy would then say, write his name in. I'm like, are you kidding? Did you just see that? What do you take us for? I mean, it's like, don't these people think? I mean, here's where it really comes down to. These people in Washington think that we are freaking morons. That's what it comes down to. These people have been riding on the crest of their elite status for years, and they are so out of touch. And this is why Trump won. They are so out of touch with people that have lost their jobs, their companies have gone away, their kids are on opioids. Kids may not have jobs, maybe they're on opioids, their kids are swimming in student debt. These people are so freaking out of touch. They're out of touch. And to think that they're just going to write in Jeff Sessions' name as an ultimate, yeah, that feels good. I feel good. I feel good. I just wrote in Jeff Sessions' name. No, it doesn't work that way. Man, I'm telling you, there is a reckoning coming. It is coming. And these people are going to be in deep shit when the reckoning comes. All right, I wanted to talk about this false flag situation in California. There's a new shooting thing happened yesterday. Maybe I'll spend some more time on it tomorrow as I kind of drill down into the details. You know, here we go. There's a new pattern. The new pattern is to have these things in remote areas. Hey, Sutherland, Texas. Fly up your nose, California. A small classroom in a rural setting. It's rural now. Who lives out there? Of course, yes. Angry white people with angry guns. But also because if you have something that's in a remote area, it's way more easy to control. Way more easy to control the players and the people. Small population. You can control the outcome. You can control the variables with the whole situation. Las Vegas, that was a big risk, big gambit. Lots of cell phone cameras, tons of stuff going on. So are we going to see another Las Vegas type event? I don't know. Will we see, 50 little events? Yes. Death by 1,000 paper cuts. So what do we have now? We have, let's see. We had Las Vegas Hotel. Mm-hmm. Sutherland Springs, a church. Mm-hmm. California, a school. Mm-hmm. You see what they're doing now? They're just like, check the box, check the box, check the box, check the box. What's next? A mini mall, a big mall. How about a game? A game of some sort. Games are a little harder. I think, like football games, events like that, they're a little bit harder to control, to be honest with you. Lots of people with cell phones. So you literally have to stage a game, a football game, in another bumfuck area of the country where there's nobody there, and make it look like something happened at that game. All these things in the past have taken place in enclosed environments. They're always pretty much an enclosed environment, except for that ridiculous shooting spree in Santa Barbara, which was totally fake. But you go back to the shooting at the Umpqua College in Oregon. It took place inside the college, inside the classrooms, another fake event. What happened in Lafayette, Louisiana, the shooting at the movie theater, just so happened to be the film that Amy Schumer was debuting in, Amy Schumer being the niece of Chuck Schumer. That's the film. All 5 people in the theater were there to go through whatever they went through. Of course, this guy was a random guy just traveling down the road. He had some anger issues. I think I'll stop in Lafayette. I think I'm just going to go to that movie theater. It's the voices in my head. I was there. I was in Lafayette. I was like 5 miles away from that movie theater shooting. I had nothing to do with it. I have witnesses that corroborate that I was at a baseball game. I had nothing to do with that shooting. But I was 5 miles away. It was very weird. It was a weird scene, man. Totally weird scene. Because we're at the baseball game, we're hearing all these sirens going, what's going on, what's going on, what's going on? Of course, we got back to our hotel rooms, we found out what was going on. Like, whoa, it was just down the road from the baseball field. Interesting. But this is the next one. And look, we went through a period where we had shootings under the Obama administration, clearly. We also had a lot of the racial agitprop through the Obama administration, which was Alinsky 101. The racial agitprop has kind of gone away, Although they can always kind of pull that out of the playbook. Because I'm telling you right now, there is a Michael Brown every day in America. It's sad. It's a sad, 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 sad thing to say. There's a Michael Brown every day in America. So they could easily mobilize. Although you have to wonder now, these people that are at the top of Black Lives Matter, they've done pretty well financially. They've gotten all this organizing money. So, when you get a lot of money, you know what happens to you when you get a lot of money? It takes the fight out of you. It takes the fight out of you. That's what happens. And then guess what you become? You become just like the bourgeoisie that you're rebelling and revolting against. Interesting little snippet. There's this guy, D. Ray McKesson, who's one of the leaders of Black Lives Matter. And they asked him, what's your next move? He said, I don't know. I'm basically an actor. That's what he said. You can look it up. I'm basically an actor. and I'm an actor looking for my next role in life. File that away. But we haven't seen we didn't see any real false flaggy stuff under Trump for a while, and now it's happening. Now we're back up again. It's ramping up, and I have to wonder why this is taking place. Is he on board with it? Is he? Because he knows what's going on. He's not insulated, and he's not dumb. And by the way, his son, Donald Trump Jr. and Eric Trump, they're alt-rightists. They're trying to wake up. I think they've been red-pilled. So their father has a direct pipeline to people, whether you like their sons or not. Whether you like the fact that Donald Trump Jr. went hunting in Africa and all that, you have to sort that out. And I'm not saying these people are saints. I'm not saying these people are, paragons of virtue. But they are, I know for a fact, engaged in uncovering this layer of truth. I mean, they supported Michael Flynn. They were definitely, trying to wrap their heads around the whole Pizza Pettygate thing. So these are his sons, right? So if his sons are hip to what's going on with these false flags, just by his relationship with them alone, Trump would be hip to it too. So the question is, why is it allowed? Why is it happening? Why are these things being allowed to take place? Is it because at some point the hammer's going to drop? Which brings us back into that level Q clearance and the indictments and the troops on the ground. Right? When is that going to happen? Not necessarily looking forward to that, by the way. Would it be interesting to see and witness? Yeah, but I'm not sure about the after. I'm not sure about the day after, or the day after that, or the day after that. Yeah, is that what we're waiting for? And all this stuff we're just going to allow to happen until finally, boom, the hammer comes down? Because I'm sick and tired of these false flags. And I know you are too. I know everybody that's listening, most everybody that's listening, are sick of this bullshit. It's like, we're over it already. Stop insulting us. Stop taking up our precious attention and signal and our emotional reserves. You want a special counsel should be into these false flags. All right, there you go. There's your morning cup of me and your 15 minutes of flame. It's adrenalized. Libra moon today. Yes, Libra moon. Emotions in balance. Or at the very least, do your best to find them. And be complimentary and harmonic, diplomatic, synergistic with the people that you have emotional contact with on this day. Compliment them. See the brighter side of life. Libra hates ugly. Hates ugly. Loves beauty. So exalt in the beauty of your emotions. They're your emotions. They are God gift to you. That's right. They're a God-given gift to you. Believe it or not. And that's the thing that separates us from the robots and the AI. It's our emotional content. Our emotional content. Celebrate it. Enjoy it. Indulge in it. Laugh. Cry. Shake your fist. Whatever it is. Celebrate your emotional body. In balance, of course, with the moon in Libra. All right. That's it for today's show. Thank you for listening. By the way, if you like the show, tell other people. I'm not your typical YouTuber. I don't do videos that way. I do the Sunday night video. I keep thinking I need to do videos because I see people get 15, 20,000, views for videos. But it's like, dude, I always go in the other direction. This has been the bane of my existence. People are doing videos. I'm just doing voice. I know. It's enigmatic. But if you like the show, if you like what I'm talking about here and bringing up, tell your friends. Have them subscribe to the channel. See if we can build this thing up a little bit and I can get some momentum. And who knows? Who knows? Maybe my big break will come. Robert Phoenix, we just have to have you. We just have to have you on our broadcast team because you have 500 people that listen to your podcasts. Got to have you. Anyway, just if you like it, subscribe, tell your friends. I enjoy doing it, and it does give us a sense of being together. It's really interesting about my video or the show from yesterday. At one point, I had like, 50 listens, and I had 15 comments. Think about that. Think about the ratio of comment to listen. If I'm Google or YouTube, I'm looking at that measure, this guy's got 50 listens and he got 15 comments. That speaks to people who listen to this show and have a sense of being connected in some ways. You know, and this is what happened when I was on Blog Talk Radio. There was an interesting group of people that had kind of assembled around Blog Talk and my shows every day or on Fridays. And it's starting to happen here, which is a little bit different than what I see with sort of these YouTube channels where they get, 70 comments or whatever, because they're pretty random in some ways. But you'll see the same people come into the comment section here and add information, which I think is different than a lot of other YouTube channels. And I love it. So I'm not really worried about the numbers, to be honest with you. What I'm really intrigued by is this sense of traction and community that's starting to take place. I'm watching it now. And one of the things that I've been trying to do more of is interact with the people that are listening and talking or taking in the show. So on Sunday nights, I've been doing the charts for people. I did a chart last week. I'll do a couple more charts this Sunday. It's been great. It's been totally great. And I want to build up more of that. We do question and answers with the chat on Sunday. So that's my goal here is to, see if we can assemble a nice little rich niche. The rich niche between us. Okay. You can go to my website, robertphoenix.com. If you haven't seen the Sunday night live stream, that's there. That's available. It's also available on YouTube. And I will be having some specials. I'm going to work on that this week. I'll be having some holiday specials pop up on my website pretty soon, which will allow you to buy packages of readings for people. And also, for a limited period of time, a discount on my course, my astrological course, if you ever wanted to give that as a gift. So that's going to start to pop up probably towards the end of the week and maybe the beginning of next week. And people do start to look for Christmas gifts and holiday gifts, whatever. And I'll do my best to make it affordable and available for everyone. All right. Let's round it up. Come on in. Let's break it down. This is what we do in baseball. Right? Everybody puts their hand in the center. Right? On 3. 1, 2, 3. Use your head to discern what's real. Your heart to say what's possible. Go!